Playing with Power MTG. Powerful cards, powerful formats. Before we get into tonight's game, I wanted to ask a question. Do you have extra cards lying around that you don't use? Want to buy or trade for some extra cards but don't know how to maximize the value? Then you should try out today's sponsor, Card Conduit. Card Conduit is the best service when it comes to selling your extra cards. Don't waste hours trying to find the best buy list price for your cards online. Simply send them to Card Conduit and let them take care of the rest. I have used Card Conduit multiple times already. I always use them to get the best value for my extra cards. I get fair prices for my cards and they save me tons of time. They have three main services. Their standard service lets you send them your unsorted cards of any value. They will sort, grade, and give you the best price for your cards. Their curated service is similar. Send them your unsorted cards worth over $1 in value. They will charge half the fee of the standard service and charge no fee per card. Their sorted service is a great value as well. Choose cards in advance with their selection tool, send them sorted to Card Conduit, and they will grade and buy list them automatically. Save yourself the time of having to send to multiple sites and let Card Conduit do it instead. Their fee is only 2% with no fee per card. They give you the best price for your cards. They work with competitive buy listing partners, including ones not open to the public. Users get an average of 19% more for their collection than they would from any major retail buy list, even with Card Conduit's fees. Card Conduit also optimizes buy listing for card condition as well. Since vendors have different penalties for wear and tear, Card Conduit will find the best buy list priced against the specific condition of the card. So give Card Conduit a try today. If you sign up with my link in the description below or use the promo code POWER, you will also get 10% off of their fees when you use their service. A big thanks to Card Conduit for sponsoring today's video. We are back with another Pioneer episode. You all requested which decks we should play next, and you get to see them tonight. So let's start out by showcasing our fighters this evening. First, we have Matt piloting Lotus Field Combo. This is a deck that looks to untap Lotus Field multiple times to generate a ton of mana to cast big spells and win. Matt's opening hand contains 2 Otawara Soaring City, a Boseiju Who Endures, Sylvan Scrying, Emergent Ultimatum, Lear Disciple of the Drowned, and a Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Next we have Emma piloting Bant Humans. This is an aggro deck that plays a lot of cheap humans to go wide and kill the opponent quickly. Emma's opening hand contains 2 Branch Loft Pathway, Mana Confluence, Collected Company, Charming Prince, Thraben Inspector, and an Extraction Specialist. Without further ado, let's kick off this hilarious hair-raising harmonious haggle. Matt wins the speed typing contest and gets to start us off. Matt plays a Boseiju Who Endures. He passes. Emma draws and plays a Boulder Loft Pathway. She casts Thraben Inspector. Inspector enters and Emma creates a clue. She ships the turn back to Matt. Matt draws and plays an Otawara Soaring City. He casts Sylvan Scrying. He fetches up a Lotus Field into his hand. He ends his turn. Emma draws and plays a Branch Loft Pathway. She casts Thalio's Lieutenant. Lieutenant enters and Emma puts a 1/1 counter onto Thraben Inspector. She moves to combat and attacks Matt with the Inspector. Matt takes the hit and Emma passes. Matt draws and floats mana from his lands. He plays a Lotus Field into play tapped, sacrificing 2 lands. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He casts Balaged Recovery, returning Vizier of Tumbling Sands to his hand. He gives the turn to Emma. Emma draws and plays a Hinge Gate Pathway. She moves to combat and attacks Matt with everything. Matt takes it, and in her second main phase, Emma casts Charming Prince. It enters and Emma exiles Thalia's Lieutenant. She moves to her end step, Thalia's Lieutenant returns, and she puts a 1/1 counter on her other humans. She passes. Matt draws and taps Lotus Field for 3 blue. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He plays Lair of the Hydra into play untapped. He casts Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. He ships the turn to Emma. Emma draws and plays a Mana Confluence. She casts Experiment 1. Thalia's Lieutenant triggers and gets a 1/1 counter. She taps Mana Confluence to help cast Reflector Mage. Thalia's Lieutenant and Experiment 1 trigger, each getting a counter. Reflector Mage triggers and bounces Lear back to Matt's hand. She moves to combat and attacks Matt with everything. Matt takes it and Emma ends her turn. Matt draws and plays an Otawara Soaring City. He casts Pour Over the Pages. He draws 3 cards, discards a card, and untaps Otawara and Lotus Field. He taps Lotus Field for 3 blue. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He casts another Pour Over the Pages. He draws 3, discards 1, and untaps Lotus Field and Lair of the Hydra. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He casts Balaged Recovery, returning Vizier to his hand. He cycles Vizier once more, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. Seeing that he's dead to Emma next turn, Matt concedes, and Emma wins the game. Before game 2, Matt moves to sideboard. He adds in 2 copies of Languish, a Cyclonic Rift, Perilous Voyage, Sunfall, Zakama Primal Calamity, and a Path of Peril for more removal and board wipes. He removes 2 Impulse, an Emergent Ultimatum, Omniscience, Behold the Beyond, Chandra Hope's Beacon, and a Balaged Recovery. Emma also moves to sideboard. She brings in 3 Elite Spellbinder, a Malevolent Hermit, and a Redain, God of the Worthy for more disruption. She removes 3 Extraction Specialists and 2 Reflector Mages. In this game, Matt's opening hand contains 2 Boseiju Who Endures, a Botanical Sanctum, Lotus Field, a Boreal Grazer, Hidden Strings, and an Impulse. Emma's opening hand contains a Malevolent Hermit, Werewolf Pack Leader, Temple Garden, Secluded Courtyard, Elite Spellbinder, and her London Mulligan is Elite Spellbinder. And Matt gets to start us off. Matt plays a Botanical Sanctum. He casts a Boreal Grazer. Grazer enters, and Matt puts a Boseiju Who Endures into play tapped. He ships the turn. Emma draws and plays a Temple Garden into play untapped, paying 2 life. She casts 3-Bin Inspector. Inspector enters, and Emma creates a clue. She passes back to Matt. Matt draws and casts Impulse. He looks at the top 4, puts 1 into his hand and the rest on bottom. He plays a Lotus Field into play tapped, sacrificing 2 lands. He ends his turn. Emma draws and plays a Secluded Courtyard, naming Human as it enters. She casts Werewolf Pack Leader. She gives the turn to Matt. Matt draws and plays a Temple of Mystery into play tapped, scrying 1 as it enters. He casts no spells and passes the turn. Emma draws and plays a Temple Garden into play untapped, paying 2 life. She moves to combat and attacks Matt with Werewolf Pack Leader. Matt blocks with a Boreal Grazer, Grazer dies, and Matt takes the rest. And in her second main phase, Emma casts Elite Spellbinder. Spellbinder enters, and Matt reveals his hand. Emma exiles Languish and then ends her turn. Matt draws and plays a Boseiju Who Endures. He casts Pore Over the Pages, drawing 3, discarding 1, and untapping Lotus Field and Temple of Mystery. He taps his lands for 4 blue. He casts Hidden Strings, untapping Lotus Field and Temple. He then taps them for 4 mana. He casts another Hidden Strings, untapping Lotus Field and Temple again. He casts Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. He flashes back Hidden Strings, untapping Lotus Field and Temple. He flashes back Pore Over the Pages, drawing 3, discarding 1, and untapping 2 lands. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He casts Hidden Strings, untapping 2 lands. He flashes back Hidden Strings through Lear, untapping 2 lands. He casts Zakama, Primal Calamity. Zakama enters, untapping all of his lands. He flashes back Hidden Strings, untapping 2 lands. He flashes back Impulse. He looks at the top 4, puts 1 into his hand and the rest on bottom. He casts Pore Over the Pages. He draws 3, discards 1, and untaps 2 lands. All through, Matt passes the turn. Emma draws and plays a Temple Garden into play untapped, paying 2 life. She casts Charming Prince. Prince enters, and Emma targets Elite Spellbinder. In response, Matt activates Zakama, dealing 3 damage to Spellbinder, killing it. Emma ships the turn. Matt draws and plays an Otawara, Soaring City. He activates Zakama, dealing 3 damage to Werewolf Pack Leader. He activates Zakama again, dealing 3 damage to Charming Prince. He moves to combat and attacks Emma with both creatures. Emma blocks Lear with 3-Bin Inspector and takes the rest. Matt passes. At the end of Matt's turn, Emma sacrifices her clue to draw a card. Emma draws and plays a Boulder Loft Pathway. She casts Experiment 1. She casts Malevolent Hermit. Experiment 1 triggers and gets a 1/1 counter. She gives the turn to Matt. Matt draws and activates Zakama, dealing 3 to Experiment 1. He activates Zakama again, dealing 3 to Malevolent Hermit. He moves to combat and attacks Emma with both creatures. Emma takes it all, dies, and Matt wins the game. In this game, Emma's opening hand contains 2 Werewolf Pack Leader, Charming Prince, Mana Confluence, Boulder Loft Pathway, Unclaimed Territory, and her London Mulligan is a Mana Confluence. Matt's opening hand contains 2 Boreal Grazer, Hidden Strings, Yavimaya Coast, Boseiju Who Endures, Lotus Field, and a Thespian Stage. And Emma gets to start us off. Emma plays an Unclaimed Territory, naming Human as it enters. She passes to Matt. Matt draws and plays a Boseiju Who Endures. He casts a Boreal Grazer. Grazer enters, and Matt puts Yavimaya Coast into play tapped. He ships the turn. Emma draws and plays a Branch Loft Pathway. She casts Werewolf Pack Leader. She ends her turn. Matt draws and plays a Thespian Stage. He casts another Boreal Grazer. It enters, and Matt puts Lotus Field into play tapped, sacrificing 2 lands as it enters. He gives the turn back to Emma. Emma draws and plays a Mana Confluence. She taps it to help cast Redain, God of the Worthy. She moves to combat and attacks Matt with Werewolf Pack Leader. Matt chump blocks with a Boreal Grazer, and Emma ships the turn. Matt draws and plays an Otawara, Soaring City. He casts no spells and passes. Emma draws and plays a Botanical Sanctum into play untapped. She moves to combat and attacks with both creatures. Matt blocks Redain with a Boreal Grazer and takes the rest. In her second main phase, Emma casts another Werewolf Pack Leader. She ships the turn. At the end of Emma's turn, Matt activates Thespian Stage, having it become a copy of Lotus Field. Matt draws and casts Path of Peril for its cleave cost, destroying all creatures. He gives the turn back to Emma. Emma draws and casts another Werewolf Pack Leader. She taps Mana Confluence to help cast Charming Prince. Prince enters, and Emma scries 2. She ends her turn. Matt draws and casts Pore Over the Pages. He draws 3, discards 1, and untaps both Lotus Fields. He cycles Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untapping Lotus Field and drawing a card. He casts Dark Petition. He fetches up a card into his hand and then adds 3 black. He casts Hidden Strings, untapping 2 Lotus Fields. He casts Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. He flashes back Hidden Strings, untapping his 2 Lotus Fields. He flashes back Pore Over the Pages. He draws 3, discards 1, and untaps both Lotus Fields. He plays a Breeding Pool into play untapped, paying 2 life. He casts Emergent Ultimatum. He fetches up Bala Ged Recovery, Hidden Strings, and Pour Over the Pages. Emma shuffles Hidden Strings back into his library. Matt then casts Bala Ged Recovery, returning Dark Petition to his hand. He casts Pour Over the Pages, drawing 3, discarding 1, and untapping both Lotus Fields. He casts, yet again, Zakama, Primal Calamity. Zakama enters and Matt untaps all of his lands. He casts Dark Petition. He fetches up a card into his hand and adds 3 black. He flashes back Dark Petition, fetching up a card into his hand and adding 3 more black. He casts Hidden Strings, untapping both of his Lotus Fields. He activates Zakama, dealing 3 to Werewolf Pack Leader. He activates Zakama again, dealing 3 to Charming Prince. With a crazy turn complete, Matt passes. During Emma's upkeep, Matt casts Hidden Strings, tapping 2 of Emma's lands. He flashes back Hidden Strings, tapping 2 of her other lands. Emma draws, takes no actions, and ends her turn. Matt draws and moves to combat. He attacks Emma with both creatures. Emma takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Matt plays a Thespian Stage. He casts Dark Petition. He fetches up a card into his hand and then ships the turn. During Emma's upkeep, Matt casts Hidden Strings, tapping 2 of Emma's lands. He flashes back Hidden Strings, tapping 2 of her other lands. Emma draws and, once again, passes back to Matt. Matt draws and moves to combat. He attacks Emma with everything, killing her, and Matt wins the match. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fun match tonight. Congrats to Matt on his win. In both of the games he won, he cast a fast Zakama, clearing Emma's board and killing her in just a few short turns. The most valuable card in tonight's match, sponsored by Luxury Playstyle, was Pour Over the Pages. This card is so powerful in the Lotus Field deck. It gives you card advantage and untaps your Lotus Fields to keep going. It's not a card that other decks play, but it is one of the best in this particular deck. We hope you enjoyed this Pioneer match. What was your favorite part? What would you like to see next? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.